Welcome, Bitcoin friends. It's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, do some TA, look at various time frames, and also take a look at market cipher. So we're going to start here looking at the US stock market. This is the S&P 500 futures chart. We can see with our current weekly candle, we have had this big pullback. Stock market dropped 4% yesterday on the news of the inflation numbers. So again, we're watching this possible area for support. We have confluence here. We have the golden pocket, taking it from the low to the high. We also have a weekly order block from this red candle in an uptrend, and another weekly order block here from this red candle in an uptrend. So we do have a few more days left in this weekly candle, and we don't want to see it close below these order blocks and also lose the support of that golden pocket area. So we had this drop as mentioned due to the inflation results, and we'll take a look at those now. We will go to a white screen so it will be brighter. So this is the overall inflation over the last 20 years. We can see at the top here it was at 9.1%. The following reading got down to 8.5%. And a lot of people were thinking we possibly come down to around 8.1% with the next reading, but we dropped to 8.3%. So the results weren't as good, but overall inflation did still come down here. But the thing that did spook the market is if we look at inflation, taking out food and energy here, what we can see is it actually had an uptick and increased from 5.9% to 6.3%. And this wasn't something I was keeping an eye on. I was looking at the overall inflation in recent videos, and we noticed that oil did drop significantly. If we just pull up the energy chart, we can see here energy inflation has dropped from 41.6% to 23.8%. But it was the inflation without the food and energy index that did spook the market and cause that sell off, along with an overall inflation result that wasn't as big as a drop as expected. But as mentioned, overall inflation is still decreasing, so that is a good sign. And I would be more worried if the overall inflation did increase. If that did happen, I think we would have had a more sustained sell off. But we are only a couple of days after that announcement, so we'll have to see what plays out with the rest of the week in the stock market. If it was just a one-day big sell-off in a bit of panic, or if it's going to be sustained with more downward action. This chart here we've been watching, it's inflation in yellow and the oil prices per barrel in red. And I won't go over the previous history, but what we noted is when oil starts coming down significantly, inflation tends to follow with about a 1 to 2 month delay. We've just copied the oil trend line here and moved it across 1 month and also 2 months. And we can see we are within this 1 to 2 month band. And I do think inflation will keep dropping as long as oil continues to correct down. And we can see here the expected value was 8.1% where this white line is, and we ended up getting an 8.3% read. Onto Bitcoin now. This is the 2-week time scale. We have another week after this week before this 2-week candle closes. But we're looking at this macro falling wedge pattern. We've had 2 touches on the top, 2 on the bottom. Generally, we break bullish on the 3rd touch to the upside. We have the same pattern on the RSI drawn in here. And unlike the price chart, we have broken above this falling wedge pattern. And quite often this can be an early indication that we are going to break the same pattern on the price chart. Let's switch to the log scale now. It will warp these lines where we're going to compare the 2 previous bear markets here with our current price action. So if this is the bottom here, we're going to look at this bottoming pattern in 2014-15 and this bottoming pattern in 2018-19. Compare it with our current price action. So we can see here on the left is that 2014-15 bottom. Here on the middle is the 2018-19 bottom, and this is our current price action. We are on the 2-week time scale. This is the line chart, so it looks at the bodies of the candles, not the wicks. We can see we did have this rally up to 25k. It was a 26% move. We had that pullback. We did make a higher low slightly here. We did end up getting a bounce, closing that 2-week candle at around 21.8k. And with our current 2-week candle, we have come back down to around 20,000. There's another week after this week to see where this closes. If it comes back up above this area, it would possibly look more like the 2018-19 bottom, where we formed this big W with higher lows. If we do end up closing below this point, possibly somewhere in this area, it would look more like the 2014-15 bear market bottoming pattern here, where we had a 35% rally, then a pullback, making a slightly higher low. Then we had a bounce and another pullback. But we did see higher lows on all of these lows here. And if we are around this point and doing a similar thing, we could be only halfway through this bottoming pattern area. If we took the same amount of time, it could take possibly till the end of the year before we break out of that potential bottoming zone. But over to Bitcoin on the weekly now. Just got that VPVR pulled up over the entire range here off the bull run and bear market. And we do see these big spikes on the VPVR. So a lot of volume has been traded in this range between around 22K down to 19K. And these volume spikes are bigger than all the previous volume spikes during this entire time spent in the bull run and bear market. So a lot of volume has traded hands at these levels. And even if we discounted this area here and just looked at the bear market, we can see significant amount of volumes here trading hands compared to all these previous spikes. And the way I view this is there is still selling pressure here. We aren't breaking out, but that selling pressure is being absorbed at these levels. We have spent about 3 months at these levels, making similar lows just below 20K on these pullbacks. And again, the stock market will play a big part in what Bitcoin does, and we're going to have to watch that for the rest of the week to see how they absorb those inflation results. Like that 2-week chart, we also have that same falling wedge pattern on the RSI, and we have also broken it on the weekly chart. Perhaps we come back down to retest it. If we can get support and bounce from that area, that would be quite positive. And again, breaking the same chart pattern on the RSI can be early indication that we are going to break it on the chart. And we do have a couple of weekly order blocks here from the initial part of our bull run from these red candles in an uptrend. And just zooming in on our current price action, those two order blocks are the ones down here. We can see we haven't closed below this order block. It acted as support on these pullbacks. And we also have this order block here in the middle, which I think is a key order block to try to hold. We saw we did lose it here. We did get back above it. And our current weekly candle is currently below this order block. We still have several days left in the week. To close back at least inside this order block, we would need to close above 20,550. The top of the order block's at 21,030. We also have the golden pocket here on the overall retracement from the low to the high here. So it would be key to see Bitcoin close inside this order block, which would also be above the golden pocket. The next order block further down here is between 19,165 and 19,378. And if we were to come down here and close lower than the previous low here, when looking at the bodies of the candles, we could possibly make bullish divergence. We were looking for that on the previous action here, but we did get this pump to the upside before we closed that weekly candle. But if we do come down and make a lower low here, we'll have lower lows on the price action or making higher lows on the RSI, and that would be a bullish divergence. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the week plays out with the stock market and Bitcoin and where we close the weekly candles on both. Looking at the total crypto market cap now, we are still in this yellow rectangle, which just marked out the range of the initial part of the bull run here. We can see a similar spike on the VPVR here, pretty much where our current price action is. And this is also in line with the golden pocket here, taking it from the low to the high. Also in line with a weekly order block from this green candle in a downtrend on the total crypto market cap. And we are also still above the 200-week moving average on this chart, acted as support here. We almost touched it on this week, whereas on the Bitcoin spot price chart, we are still below that 200-week moving average. And looking at the CME Bitcoin futures chart now on the weekly time frame, We see a similar thing with this spike on the VPVR, bigger than the previous spikes here. However, when looking at the falling wedge pattern here on the RSI, I've just got the top trend line drawn in. We can see we haven't broken above that trend line yet. We did touch it here and are now getting a pullback. And the futures chart can sometimes be a bit more accurate. So I am watching both charts there. And down to the daily time frame for Bitcoin now. We can see how big that correction was from about 22.7k, currently down to 19.7k. And we can see it doing the fib levels from this high down to our low here on this bounce back up. We also came to that golden pocket area. So it does happen quite a lot where we get turnarounds at golden pocket areas. And like the futures chart, if we take the fib from this low to our high here, we're also around that golden pocket area. Just looking at some daily order blocks now. We did have a couple of thin ones here. We are currently below those. To be able to hold this order block, we need to close today back above 20,167, which would be above that golden pocket area. And the next daily order block is all the way down here at 18.3k to 18.5k. I just want to switch to the 4-hour time frame now, and going onto the RSI here, what we can see is we did have this trend line connecting these three lows. It's as price was decreasing here, we had that triple bullish divergence on the 4-hour and got this response and a nice bounce. Now we have come back down, but we are pretty much at that trend line again. We haven't closed below it yet. So this could be a possible area where we also get a bounce near the golden pocket. And let's look at some order blocks now on the multi-day time frame. So we do have the 2-day, the 3-day, and the 4-day, and also the daily order blocks in the blue here. I've just labeled them so we can see what time frame it is. We are on the daily chart here. We only closed the daily with today's close, and it's not until the 16th of September open that we close the 2-day and the 3-day candles. We closed the 4-day candles on the 18th of September, and this 4-day order block may be important at that time. I am providing updates on these order blocks when the relevant closes come in on Twitter, and I have my Twitter page link in the description. But it's good to see all these levels on one chart here. I won't go into the different price levels, and again, that will be posted on Twitter. And we also have the 5 and 6-day order blocks here on a separate chart so they don't overlap. We're currently in this 6-day candle here, and that also doesn't close until the 16th of September. The 5-day candle did start on this daily candle, and it won't close until the 18th of September. So we have the 2-day, the 3-day, and the 6-day candles all closing on the 16th of September. There is another full day of trading left. And again, I'll post those relevant prices on the relevant days on Twitter. And over to Market Cipher now. We're on the 4-hour time frame. This is that 17.5k low. We had that bounce to 25k. We had the retracement back down to 18.5k. We can see during this retracement, the money flow dipped into the red. We spent a lot of time in the red there. And then when we did flip into the green here, we got that bigger move to the upside. And we have had this correction back down now, and we're looking for a green dot on the other side on the 4-hour time frame. Looking at the 6-hour, it looks like it's got a bit more to go, so that 4-hour might not be as reliable with the green dot. And the 12-hour is still coming down here after confirming that red dot. So we could see that green dot on the 4-hour and perhaps get a bit of a move from that. But until the 6 and the 12-hour fully correct here, I think we either drop back down to the low of the range, or we spend some time going sideways, getting those small bounces from the 4-hour green dot, then possibly the 6-hour green dot, until we can eventually get the 12-hour green dot on the other side. The daily does have a red dot present, and it will be confirmed at the end of the day. So we do need to see support build up with those green dots on the smaller term time frames, and perhaps turn around the daily with a smaller blue wave here if we do spend enough time going sideways. But we're going to look at all the multi-day time frames on one chart, as it's easier to see the picture building up. So here we have multiple time frames for Market Cipher. We've got the 2-day at the top here, then the 3-day time frame, the 4-day, the 5-day, 6-day, and weekly time frame. This was that initial bounce we had back up to 22K, and then we had this pullback over the last few days. But what we can see, we do have that red dot on the daily time frame we just showed, but looking at the 2-day time frame, we did get a green dot on the 9th of September that got confirmed. We also got a green dot on the 3-day, which also got confirmed. And we have a green dot on the 4-day, which also just recently got confirmed. Now we do have green dots on the 5-day, 6-day, and weekly time frame. And we are on the daily time frame on the chart, even though we have different time frames here on Market Cipher. But I've just got marked out when the next relevant time frame close comes in. So just looking on the 5-day chart, we have that green dot not confirmed yet, and it won't be confirmed until the 18th of September here. The 6-day with its green dot won't be confirmed until the 16th of September. And the weekly with its green dot won't be confirmed till the 19th of September. Over the next 5 days or so, we're looking to confirm all of these green dots. Although the smaller term timeframes look bearish, and we have that red dot on the daily, these higher term timeframes are building up and looking more bullish here. Again, it will depend on the stock market, but I think with the support from the higher term time frames, at the very least, we may go sideways for a while here, but I'm not expecting a big drop below that low at 17.6K. And again, I'll also post updates on Twitter when the relevant time frame closes come in and when each of these new green dots gets confirmed. But I think that's about all. Hope you enjoyed that analysis. In the short term here, I'm watching this trend line on the 4-hour chart we spoke about. You can see it has had 3 touches here, and we are currently testing that trend line again. But if we do see a bounce and support of this trend line, perhaps we get more of a bounce here. Doesn't mean that we go all the way up. We could spend time going sideways in a range for a while. We'll have to see how it plays out and what the stock market does over the coming days. Again, today was pretty neutral for the stock market, so perhaps we just saw that pain on one day, but we'll have to see how that plays out. So thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. I'll see you next time. Bye.